Developers always get confused when displaying data on schema using components where it need to be called and which scenario it need to be called, those kind of stuff in Angular application. In this video, you will able to get a lot of answers regarding those scenarios. Hi all, I'm Lakshman. As a part of our Angular best practices series, today we are going to see one of the basic and important topic in Angular, which is life cycles in Angular component. In today's video, the things we will be seeing is what are the life cycles available and how to use it and when to use it. These are the three things we'll be. It's more upon some theoretical and a little bit of demo at the end. So without wasting any time, let's get started. As first up, let's see what are life cycles available. Number one, OnChanges. Number two, OnInit. Number three, DoCheck. Number four, AfterContentInit. Number five, AfterContentChecked. Number six, AfterViewInit. And number seven, AfterViewChecked. And last but not least, OnDestroy. So these are the 8 life cycles which is used on Angular components. So let's dig deeper and when to use it and on what condition. On the life cycle of OnChange, how it works is whenever there was a data change from master to child or child to master or some data in the components, when the data get changed, this lifecycle hook will be get triggered. As usual, and the next one is OnInit. OnInit is called every time whenever the page is getting loaded. Means after the root navigation is method, this is second method which is going to call. On the next, which is the third one, DoCheck. DoCheck has a lot of strategies on way of navigation. So if you have a 3-layer component, when you have a DoCheck method on the component A, it checks for the component C and the component B on the normal basis. If you have a push based strategy, then you need to look forward and check whether all the data is getting corrected. Whenever the data is correct, or it goes and checks the data which is correct or wrong, which it checks whenever something happens. So that's the hook which is usually used to call on our Angular component. And number 4 is Angular ContentInit. Whenever the content is getting started and it's getting rendered, means if you have a master and a child, when you are using some ng content options for the rendering of child, it checks whether in and what are the prerequisite things it can pass into the child information. You can set it up here, and once it is done, you can validate via after content check whenever after data is got rendered. Next, it is after view init. In this hook, whenever the view is got initialized, which means it respective the some child pages or the same pages. Whenever the view is got initiated, it is the trigger, and whenever the view is completed, it checks with whether the view is completely rendered or not. This will be helpful when you are rendering some dynamic HTML rendering in our application, which checks all the data is getting rendered or not. So last but not least, OnDestroy. whenever you having some subscription basis options for rendering those information from the siblings components, you usually used to get some data from the service on observables where you will subscribe on it, but it needs to be destroyed so that the application memory leakage won't get happen, and it creates a lot of subscriptions and memory leakage options. So you need to destroy the subscription so that whatever the necessary resources you used all upon the other books which is required to be destroyed. So that is the even when the navigation of this component is rendering to different page, this method will get triggered. So these are the basic how or what the purpose of the life cycle. So on the next step, we'll be seeing a little bit of demo how it gets triggered so that we could able to get a better understanding of life cycle. This is the application which I used for Angular best practice series. This is the small to-do list. So it has a master and child component so that we could be able to check how the life cycle of a component works. So before getting into, let's get into our code, and this is a to-do component which already exists, and this is the to-do entry component. The existing life cycle which I used is ng on it, where via resolver I'm getting some information of to-do and displaying it here, and on the to-do entry list I'm using two life cycle which is ng on it, which is I don't need anything which is to me render on initial, but whenever the value of to do gets changed, it need to be updated into the form, and if it's not, there was no any data and it reset my form. So this is the life cycle I'm simply using right now. So what I'm going to do is get hook and I will add it, and it will get added and it will get this here. So but we need to know how what's the sequence of the life cycle is called, right? So I'm going to put up some logs. Log to do it on init, and this is an on change. Whenever you are using some life cycle here, you need to append it here with the dependency. If not, the component may get not properly rendered. Those kind of stuff may happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more function called after content init then checked two more here, which is ng on content. It is this one, and it's let's wrap up with the region here so that I'm able to see the cycle hooks. So one of the tip I used to give is use region on your TypeScript so that you will be able to get the sectionize. I'm just sectionizing with those two options, type cycle hooks, variable. That's it. So let's check and go for console. What is getting this up here, and the page is getting rendered. So you can see first the ng on change event is triggered, then an on it, then well, that was a typo. One sec. Um, so you can see it's getting render, and these all are whenever there was a content getting initialized here, it will go to the to add here to init view check and check this one part one is to check. So you will get this pop-up right here. It's not the method. I'm going to implement all here.
61. Hey, alright.
Now we have thrown implemented all the methods here. Just now let's going to change all the console.log. Let's get this right off and just off. That's right. Copy and paste it up likewise. Components page. Copy and so this will be very just paste here. Segmentize this the region. Oops. There we go. Just hit and touch this. That was collect card start. Let's wait for a few seconds. Start rendering it. Now the application got rendering is completed. Let's go up here and refresh the page. So you can see here. First, it goes for the ND do check. That's the first event, and the next it checks for the ng on content. The after content check initiated and check. Then it's the child event is getting trigger on change because there was some data changes we used to see it here, right? This the ng on change. I'm checking whether to do there was some data changes or not. Text and its page is getting rendered. It pre-checks those and but this text is not updated and it's good. So rendering is completed and whenever there was a small changes, let me change and add a one more small data. You see there was some content changes here in both for check two checks and after content view there was and that's cleaned up and a bit so it checks the loop component checks for some data changes in the child and it checks and if once the content initiated and it revalidating the view. So once I hit complete and do check the check content init and add. So these things continuously happening over here for a period of time whenever there was some data changes here or here. You see on the previous event option whenever there was changes here this on change event is not triggered. If I click that edit option here it triggers. If I change it there was no on change. This is the thing which used to happen on the life cycle. But the one of the main predominant use one using on the life cycle is ng OnInit. Whenever if you need some data which is need to be displayed on the initial part, you need to use it on the ng OnInit. When there was some kind of child or subchild component which is the data need to be passed from the top to the bottom. Whenever there was changes in the bottom it need to be updated here and whenever there was new data updated comes up here it need to be updated here. It is hook. It is it, these are the mainly two options which is to and whenever if we are having some dynamic kind of rendering in your application the view check sorry the view check life cycle will be very helpful and the after content check life cycle will be very helpful for you to just check whether all the data is rendered or not. Especially when you have a large collection of data like thousands of record need to be on the ng4 or some content checks you can have it. So this is all about the life cycle and pretty much you have seen a little bit of wow and what's the sequence of the method getting called and how to use it appropriately because life cycle matters only when you use it in appropriate. So that's it on the life cycle part. We can able to handle how data is getting there and with some lot of dynamic options right now we can able to validate whether we are correct or not via after the view in it and after view check and the content view. So hope you will able to learn a lot about the life cycle. Yeah, if it does so, kindly subscribe to the channel and give a thumbs up for the video and share with your friends who would like to learn about. And don't miss out to add that notification bell on. So coming up from the next week, we'll be releasing up those recording work and all other stuff. Stay tuned and if you have any doubts or any clarification regarding an Angular, you can reach me out in Twitter via at Shah Lakshman as well as in LinkedIn. So hope you will have a nice day and continue learning.